Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. What happens when a bank employee makes a snap judgment about a teenager simply because of how he looks, and that judgment spirals into a public humiliation involving security and police? And what happens when the person they least expect walks through the door and flips the entire power dynamic upside down? Today's story is about bias, composure, and a moment of karma so perfectly timed, it feels unreal. If stories where justice is served hit home for you, tap like right now. It helps these messages reach more people. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? I love seeing how global this community is. Now, get comfortable, and let's get into it. It was a bright Saturday morning in downtown Chicago, December 2025. Michigan Avenue buzzed with holiday energy. Shoppers moved between luxury stores with branded bags in hand. Inside the flagship branch of Premier National Bank, the atmosphere was calm and polished, marble floors gleaming under crystal chandeliers, soft instrumental music playing through hidden speakers, and the faint aroma of fresh coffee drifting from the lobby cafe. Tellers stood behind pristine counters, greeting customers with rehearsed smiles. For most people, it was just another routine banking day. For Jordan Hayes, it was his first time handling something important on his own. Jordan was 16 years old, a junior at Whitney Young Magnet High School. He stood tall for his age, clean-cut, with a fresh haircut and a quiet confidence that came from being raised well. He wore a crisp light blue button-down shirt, khaki pants, and clean sneakers, nothing flashy, just neat and intentional. In his hand was a cashier's check for $15,000. The money came from two sources, a generous birthday gift from his grandparents and earnings from a paid summer internship at a small tech startup where Jordan had helped build a basic app interface. His mother had insisted he deposit it himself. Money is responsibility, she told him. And responsibility is learned, not inherited. Jordan took a deep breath and stepped up to the next available teller window. "Good morning," he said politely. "I'd like to deposit this into my savings account, please." The teller looked up from her screen. Her name tag read Karen Mitchell. She was in her mid-40s, professionally dressed, with nearly 2 decades of experience working at the bank. At first, she smiled out of habit, but the smile faded almost instantly as her eyes dropped to the check and then back to Jordan. She paused. "This is for $15,000, Karen said slowly. "That's a large amount." "Yes, ma'am," Jordan replied calmly. "I'd like to deposit it." Karen took the check from his hand, examining it more closely than necessary. She turned it over. Checked the signature. Looked at Jordan again. "And where did this money come from?" she asked. Jordan didn't bristle. He didn't raise his voice. "It's a gift from my grandparents, plus money I earned from an internship," he said, sliding his debit card and state ID across the counter. Karen didn't reach for them. Her eyes lingered on Jordan's face, then his clothes, then the check again. Something shifted in her expression. She had seen fraud before. She had caught people lying. And in her mind, one she'd never openly questioned, this situation didn't add up. Without saying another word, Karen pressed a button beneath the counter. The silent security alert. Jordan noticed the change in her posture. The tension. "Is something wrong?" he asked. Karen cleared her throat. "This check is unusual for someone your age. I'm going to have branch security take a look." Jordan blinked. "You can call the issuing bank," he offered quickly. "They can verify it." Karen didn't respond. Within moments, 2 uniformed bank security officers appeared at the end of the counter. Karen leaned toward them, lowering her voice but not enough to hide her tone. "I believe this check may be fraudulent," she said. "The customer is a minor." Jordan's heart began to pound. "I didn't do anything wrong," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "That money is mine." One of the guards gave him a neutral look. "Sir, we're just going to ask you to step aside while we sort this out." The word "sir" felt strange in that moment, formal, distant, and cold. Jordan stepped away from the counter as customers nearby began to whisper. A woman near the waiting area subtly lifted her phone. Someone else leaned over to get a better look. Minutes passed. Karen, still convinced she was following protocol, relayed her concerns to the branch supervisor. After a brief, one-sided explanation, security contacted the police to report a suspected fraud attempt. Jordan stood near the wall, hands at his sides, doing everything he could to stay calm, just like his mom had taught him. Outside, sirens grew louder. 2 Chicago Police Department officers entered the bank, hands resting near their belts. The room fell silent. "Which individual?" one officer asked. Karen pointed, without hesitation. Jordan swallowed. "I have ID," he said quickly. "I didn't steal anything." The officers looked at the check, then at Jordan. "Just sit tight, okay," one said. "We're going to figure this out." That's when the automatic doors slid open. A woman stepped inside, her heels clicking sharply against the marble floor. She was tall, poised, and unmistakably authoritative. Dr. Elena Hayes. At 48 years old, she carried herself with the kind of confidence that came from decades of leadership. She wore a tailored navy coat, her posture straight, her expression calm but alert. Just weeks earlier, she had been officially named President and CEO of Premier National Bank, the first black woman to hold the position in the company's 150-year history. She had returned early from a board meeting in New York, planning to surprise her son with lunch. Instead, she walked into chaos. Her eyes scanned the lobby. The police. The guards. The crowd. And then, Jordan. Surrounded. "Mom," Jordan called out, relief breaking through his composure. Everything changed. Dr. Hayes' expression hardened, not with anger, but with precision. She walked forward, and instinctively, people moved out of her way. She stopped at the counter and looked directly at the teller. "Karen," she said calmly, reading the name tag. "Can you explain what's happening here?" Karen straightened, still unaware of who she was speaking to. "Yes, ma'am," she said confidently. "This young man attempted to deposit a suspicious check. I followed procedure and alerted security." Dr. Hayes didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "That young man," she said evenly, "is my son. Jordan Hayes." The room froze. "And I am Elena Hayes, President and CEO of Premier National Bank." The silence was absolute. Karen's face drained of color. The officers exchanged looks. One cleared his throat. "Ma'am, we were informed of a possible fraud." Dr. Hayes turned to them with a professional nod. "Officers, thank you for responding. This was a misunderstanding. The check is legitimate, and my son is a valued customer." The officers immediately relaxed. They apologized to Jordan, quietly, respectfully, before exiting the bank. Dr. Hayes turned back to Karen. "In my office," she said. "Now." The branch manager rushed over, stammering apologies. In the middle of the lobby, Elena pulled Jordan into a hug. "You okay?" she whispered. Jordan nodded. "Yeah. Just surprised." Some customers applauded softly. Others stared, stunned. Phones captured the moment. Upstairs, security footage told the full story. No verification attempt. No call to the issuing bank. No protocol followed beyond assumption. Karen admitted she had made a judgment based on the amount and Jordan's age. Dr. Hayes suspended her pending investigation and ordered mandatory bias and procedural training for all staff. The story went viral. Bank CEO intervenes after son is profiled. Teen detained during deposit, didn't know his mom ran the bank. Jordan used the attention to advocate for financial literacy in schools. Premier National launched the Jordan Hayes Youth Banking Initiative, offering free teen accounts and education workshops nationwide. At dinner that night, Elena looked at her son. "I'm proud of how you handled yourself," she said softly. "But I'm sorry you had to experience that." Jordan smiled. "You showed up. That's what mattered." Years later, Jordan would joke. "That deposit taught a whole bank a lesson. Never judge a book or a check by its cover." What would you have done in Jordan's place? Or as the parent? Tell me in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. More Justice Served stories are on the way.